Hello and welcome to Shady Grove Radio. I'm Dan Loggins. This is Wednesday, the 9th of December of 2020. And I hope you are full-fledged involved in the Christmas season. And have your lights up, your tree decorated, you have all your Christmas shopping done. If you're like me, maybe not. So just sit back and relax a little bit this Wednesday evening and enjoy this story. As you may recall, back in the fall, one family in our Shady Grove family had an incident happen at their home where the remnants of Hurricane Zeta came through the area and blew down a tree on their house. Chris and Susan Simpson found out a tree had blown down on their house, and that was on the afternoon of October the 29th. That was a Thursday. And as you may recall, they had a tree fall on their house 2 years ago in a similar situation when Hurricane Michael came through on October the 11th of 2018 and blew a huge, in fact, there were two huge oak trees that were blown over on their house, and it caused significant damage. In the insurance business, we call it heavy damage, uninhabitable home. And then this happened again on October the 29th of this year. I think the first time was maybe $170,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. This time it's probably going to be about that or maybe even more of damage to their home. It's a very distressing situation. The daughter, Casey Simpson, was home at the time. Morgan Simpson was in school. And Casey was at home and fortunately was not inside the home when the tree was blown over. But we'll give you all the details coming up in just a few minutes. Before we get into that, just a couple of announcements. Don't forget we have on Sunday our 10:30 in-person service. We have the 9 o'clock service. That is the drive-in service. And then coming up on Christmas Eve, we'll be having a 4 o'clock and a 6 o'clock candlelight Christmas Eve service. The 6 o'clock service will be indoor. The 4 o'clock service will be a drive-in. But coming up this Sunday night, is our children's program at the church. I'm not exactly sure if we're going to have, I don't know if we'll have room for everybody that wants to come because we'll be spaced out, but hopefully the parents and the grandparents, the families of these kids will be able to get first dibs on the seats. It's called The Next Noel, and Pastor Doreen and her team of volunteers are putting this all together. That is this coming December the 13th. That's Sunday at 6 o'clock in the worship center. Also on the 15th of December is the drive-through Christmas dinner for our seniors from 4:30 to 6 o'clock. Please RSVP to the office or send an email to Shady Grove. The email address is office@shadygrove.net, office@shadygrove.net, or give Pastor Phil a call and just let him know that you'll be participating in the 4:30 to 6 o'clock drive-through Christmas dinner for the seniors coming up on December the 15th. And now here's Shady Grove Radio's exclusive presentation of I'll Huff and I'll Puff and I'll Blow Your House In. Chris Simpson was at work on October the 29th on Thursday afternoon when he got this phone call from his cousin who lives next door to him. His cousin saw this tree blowing in the wind and about to fall on the house and called Chris.
It almost went just then. It's coming up out of the ground. And it's going straight to your front living room. Yep. Uh-oh. Crap. I'll send you a video. It's coming up out of the ground, and here it goes. There it goes. I'm videoing it. There it goes, right on top of your house. Dadgummit. There's your whole house. Yep, your whole front end of your house is gone. I just videoed every bit of it. Columns, everything. Better call Dan. Get Susan to call Dan.
Fortunately, no one was inside. No one was injured, but Chris's cousin Ron and Casey Simpson were outside and saw the whole thing happen. And within just a few hours, the news media shows up.
So I watched it like uproot and then just hit the house. Oh, a crushing blow for the Simpson family. High winds pushed a really big tree straight into their home in Summerfield in northwestern Guilford County earlier today. Good evening. Welcome to this late edition of Fox 8 News. I'm Neil McNeil.
And I'm Katie Nordine. Thankfully, no one was inside, but one of their daughters had a front row seat to all that chaos. She walked Fox 8's Allison Smith through the damage. Check this out.
Katie and Neil, after several hours of work, crews still have a long ways to go. So you can see the damage behind me. It definitely does not qualify as an overnight fix. Casey Simpson, she was the only one home when the tree fell, and she witnessed everything from her front yard. Underneath that tree is Casey Simpson's house.
You can see, like, right here, that's where it started splitting and, like, breaking.
When high winds tore through Summerfield Thursday afternoon, Casey made her way outside to put away anything that could blow over.
There's one of the ferns I was supposed to get down.
But when she got to the front yard, she learned she had bigger problems.
It, like, split open a little bit and kind of went back, and I was like, this tree's going to fall. And at that point, I kind of started freaking out.
Casey's neighbor and boyfriend quickly came over for backup, and for the next few minutes, they all looked on helplessly.
There he goes, right on top of your house. Okay, there's your whole house.
You hear, like, wood cracking, and then you hear it hitting more wood, and it just hit my house, and I guess got all the insulation out. It just looked like it snowed instantly.
Unfortunately, Casey and her family have been here before. The crushed chimney, collapsed roof, and smashed porch are reminiscent of the damage Hurricane Michael did to their home.
This happened 2 years ago to us, except from the other angle. And so I was like, Lord, just let it go the other way. Let it fall the other way, because I don't want to deal with this all over again. We can deal with it in the yard, just let it fall the other way.
Simpson says the home has been in her family for generations, and just like they did after Hurricane Michael, they plan to rebuild. Reporting in Summerfield, Allison Smith, Fox 8 News.
Casey Simpson was at the house when the storm hit. Casey, what was it like?
Well, it was very windy. It was like raining off and on, but just really windy.
And why were you outside in a storm?
I was getting ready to leave for school, and my mom told me to call her when I was leaving. And so as I was walking out the door, like, I noticed there was a lot of stuff that had blown away in the yard. So I was just going to pick it up and just put it on the porch. And then she asked me to go to the front porch and check on her ferns if they were, like, swinging around, if I should, like, take them down or whatever. And so that's when I, like, walked to the front yard. I saw her ferns swinging around. And then I passed by the big tree, and it was cracked, like, starting from the base. And I was like, oh, dang, this is cracked. Let me take a picture of this really fast. And as I was standing there, it, like, split open a little more and then, like, went back together. And I was like, oh, this is going to fall. So
was it leaning? Was it leaning toward the house then?
No, it was just cracked and would, like, split open and then come back. Like, it looked like it was breathing. That's what it looked like. Like, it was just, like, opening and closing. Just this little crack that was spreading.
And the whole time the wind's blowing, making the tree swing back and forth, looking like it's breathing. Yeah, like, it only looked like it was breathing, like, at the base. Because at first glance, like, I saw the crack, and I didn't think much of it. And then gusts of wind would come, and it would make it look like it was breathing. But I didn't think it, like, my first thought wasn't, oh, this is going to fall. My first, like, thought was, this is looking pretty bad. This tree should probably come down soon. But then it, came down. And what did you do after that? You saw the big crack in the tree. You realized it's swaying back and forth. What did you do then? I was still on the phone with my mom talking about her ferns. And so I told her, I was like, let me take a picture of this. I'm going to send it to you. And then as I was taking a picture of it and still on the phone with her, I noticed it getting worse. And so then I told her, I said, I think it's going to fall. I don't know what to do, like, because I was just there alone. And so she called my cousin, who's my neighbor. And so he came over, and he stood in the yard with me. And then she called my dad. And then I called Noah, because I was like, I don't want to be here alone. So and Noah, I called a bunch of people. Noah is your boyfriend, and Ron is your cousin, the next-door neighbor. Ron came over. What did he do? He told me not to cry and to pray, and I told him, I was like, I'm doing both, okay? So I was just kind of standing there, and I was like, see, it's going to fall, like, it's splitting open here. And then as we were standing there, the wind was picking up more, and that's when the
like the roots of it, like the base was kind of starting to come out of the ground some, and that's when I really knew it was going to fall. And so I called my mom back and told her, and I told her, well, I'm not going to school now because that's where I was supposed to go. So I emailed my professor really fast, and I was like, I'm not coming to class today. And then we stood out there probably like 10 minutes maybe, and at that point, like, it just fell. It got to where there was a big gust of wind, and it would pick up out of the ground a little bit, and then it would go back down, and then it would pick up a little more, and then it would go back down, and then it would split open again, and then it would come back together, and then it finally just fell on the house.
And there was absolutely nothing you could do, right?
Of course not. No, I mean, I was standing in the yard praying, and I was like, Lord, just let it fall the other way. You know, don't let it fall in the house because we've already been through this. So just let it fall the other way somehow. I mean, I know it's not going to do that, but let it fall another way. And it just fell right on the house, and it just knocked the porch off. And, I mean, it hit the house.
And
so
your cousin Ron got it all on video, right?
Yes, he was standing in the yard filming it, and I was like, really? But he was standing in the yard, and he was on the phone with my dad on my phone, and then he was holding his phone filming it. So that's how there's the video of it, because he was standing there filming it all.
So what did you think when that tree fell on the house? What were you thinking? I'm sure it was upsetting.
Yes, I was very upset because I didn't want to deal with all of that again, but I felt so helpless that I couldn't do anything, and it was like I saw it and I couldn't do anything about it, and I just felt really helpless. But I mean, I just thought, well, here we go again. At least no one was inside, but
so you prayed. I'll ask you a spiritual question here. So you prayed that the tree wouldn't hit the house, but the tree still hit the house. So why do you think God didn't answer that prayer?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that one out, because when I went inside, one of the first things I said was, why, God? I mean, like, why are we going through this again? But I'm still trying to figure that one out, because I'm so frustrated with everything right now, and that's still the question I'm asking. Why? So I guess there's something else that he's trying to teach us through this, or something else we've got to see or learn, or I don't know, but I'm still trying to figure that one out.
And that's something we're all trying to figure out, why things happen to us. We are promised in this life, as the scripture says, we will have trouble. But we do have to remember that these things will pass. 1 Peter 4:12 says, "Dear friends, don't be surprised or shocked when you're going through painful trials and fiery tests in life." These things happen. 2 Corinthians says this, "For our temporary and momentary troubles will not last, but they are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." So we focus not on what is seen, but what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. And no matter what we go through, we know God goes through it with us. Isaiah 43:2 says, "When you go through deep waters, I will be with you. When you pass through rivers of difficulty, you will not drown. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned up. It will not consume you." Isaiah 43:2. And we also know that this isn't the end of the story, that whatever we're going through here is not the end. 2 Corinthians 4:8, 9, and 14 say, "We often suffer, but we're never crushed. Even when we don't know what to do, we never give up. In times of trouble, God is with us. And when we are knocked down, we get up again, because we know God raised the Lord back to life. And just as He raised Jesus, He will also raise us back to life and will bring us into His presence together." 2 Corinthians 4:8 through 9 and verse 14. Why do these things happen? God only knows, and someday He'll let us in on the secret. Listen, thanks for listening to Shady Grove Radio tonight. Christmas season's coming up. Be sure and check the e-news. Be sure and stay in touch with the people in your small group, your Sunday school class, and be sure and send us your prayer requests. If you go to shadygrove.net, there's a place where you can click and send us prayer requests for our prayer group that meets every Monday night. Thanks for listening, and join us next week.